Hi, Madhu. How are you?
Hi, sir. I'm good, sir. How about you, sir?
I'm good too. Thank you for asking. So, how many years you have with respect to experience you have with respect to automation testing?
Sir, total I have 4 year experience. In automation relevant, I have 2 year experience.
Okay, great. Okay, so can you explain the difference between data-driven framework and the keyword-driven framework?
So, data-driven framework, we are fetching the data from the external resources like JSON, XML, Excel. So,
Hmm,
this is called a data-driven testing, sir. And key-driven testing, so we are using keywords for that particular framework. So, that is called as the key-driven testing, sir.
right, right. Okay, so let me show you the difference. So, if you get this kind of question, so you can answer in this manner. There are multiple differences. So, first is if you are going for data-driven testing.
Yes,
So
sir.
it is a framework in which you are actually using the external files to read the data, right? So
Yes,
you
sir.
will be using the external files, maybe it's an Excel file, maybe it's a JSON file, those kind of files you'll use. In the keyword driven, what you will do is you'll use the keywords that are mapped to some specific test actions,
Okay, sir.
right? So here in the data driven, when you have to run the data with multiple parameters, with multiple data, then you will go for data driven approach, right? And when there are subject matter experts or when there is the business team or the non-technical users who want to define the test without coding, they will use keyword driven thing,
Okay,
right?
sir.
So example would be here, if you can see, you will try to log in with a different username and password from an Excel sheet. And here keywords would be login and log out itself, right? Then there are tools. So that's how you will define the differences between data driven and the keyword driven things.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, what do you mean by step definition file?
So, definition file is coming under BDD. It's a behavior
Hmm.
driven framework. So, step definition. So here we are giving the steps like
Hmm.
even when, then how to perform like the stages of the steps. So for that we are using step dev.
Okay. So, can you design a feature file for flipkart.com? So you can open flipkart.com. I'll tell you
Uh,
the scenario.
Sir,
I'm
actually
giving you screen sharing minutes.
BDD I not worked on BDD, sir. So we are using
Okay.
hybrid framework.
Okay,
Uh,
you're using hybrid framework.
yes, sir.
Okay. So can you explain about your framework? Which are the different components in the framework?
Yes, sir. This is hybrid framework, basically
Hmm.
combination of data-driven testing and TestNG and
Hmm.
key-driven. So here, what we are doing in the sense, so whatever the reusability methods are there, we are storing into that test main Java, and that whatever we are performing action in that that we are creating the classes for that test Java,
Hmm.
and test resources we are storing that testng.xml files or like browsers .exe files. So
Hmm.
we are storing into the in the test resources like XML like Excel files and all.
Hmm.
Those things we are storing in that test resource, and in that pom.xml we are storing into the all the dependency instead of adding the jar file. So we are storing into that all the dependency in the pom.xml files.
Hmm. Okay. So what is the use of pom.xml file?
So pom.xml file, so instead of adding the jar files each and every like for example, if I'm using data-driven testing instance, so Selenium will not support to fetch the external resource. So we have to add that Apache file. So for that, we are storing into that. We're going to taking the dependency like Maven dependency. In that, we are copying that updated version Maven dependency. So that we are storing into that pom.xml. So it will helpful to that run the script and fetch the data from the external resource.
Okay. So you are telling about pom.xml. Okay. What is page object model?
So page object model is it's a design pattern where we are storing all the web elements in that POM classes. So by using getter setters method, so we are calling that methods in that main class. So
Hmm.
we are creating the object for that pom.xml class, and we are calling in that main class to run the method. So it is coming under like encapsulation. like wrapping up the data member and functional member. So we are storing into that in the pom.xml file to reduce the code.
Hmm.
So
Okay. Let's say if there is an automation framework and there is an opportunity given to you that you have to design the framework from scratch. So what are the different key components that you will consider?
sir, first I will analyze so
Hmm.
what is that project and all. So based on that, we will find that easiest way, like what are the availables in the market, tools
Hmm.
and all. So like very cheapest, those things will take and will implement. And while creating that framework from the scratch,
Hmm.
so we have to create the package vises in that package vises. So reusability methods we are storing into the one package,
Hmm.
like generic utility like WebDriver utility, file utility, property files, Excel files.
Hmm.
We are storing into that and the generic utility and object repository in that POM class what we are creating. So we are storing into the object repository because
Hmm.
we have to reduce the code and it should be we have to maintain with the need and uh, it's easy to understand if someone a test engineer is able to access an answer. So those kind of design we are doing and all the resources like testng.xml, parallel executions, batch executions files we are storing into the test resource folder.
Hmm.
Those things based on that we are developing the frameworks.
Okay. So when you're getting this kind of question, which are the key components that you will consider? So let me show you them. Okay. So see, the key components of any framework that you say, let it be a hybrid or a data-driven. So first of all, you have to come up with the framework type, what kind of framework you would look for, right?
Okay, sir.
Since you have to come up with a robust framework, you have to go through the client requirements. You have to see what are their expectations, what are their requirements, and accordingly you have to take the decision. Then the test scripting language will take the design pattern. You'll decide whether you'll go for page object model or you'll go for singleton or you'll go for factory, right? Then test data management, how you will do. So maybe you are using Excel or CSV file or JSON file. What is the logging and the reporting mechanism that you will do? Then you go for parallel execution, CI/CD integration, error handling. So all those things. So these are the key components. So 8 components are very crucial. If you make any mistake in this particular components, then it would impact the entire framework, right? So entire framework might go on a toss. So you have to be very proper in deciding these particular components,
Okay, sir. Okay,
right?
sir.
So this is what you can give the answer. Okay. Then let me go to the next question. Uh, okay. Now let's say if there are dynamic elements that you have to automate, then what would be your strategy in those cases?
So,
If you have to go for the dynamic elements, how?
dynamic
Yeah.
element we are handling uh,
Mm-hmm.
two possibilities there. One is we are handling by the XPath, and one is handling by the siblings, like following siblings and preceding siblings are there.
Mm.
So those we are using to handle the dynamic elements.
Right. And apart from that,
Apart from that, we can use contents. Contents we are using. Uh,
perfect.
uh,
Yes.
yeah, these three we can handle dynamic element. And
Very,
partially dynamic element we are using contents. Complete dynamic element we are using XPath or siblings.
very nice. So this was a good answer. So see, if you go with an expert, so there can be multiple approaches for this answer. It's
Yes.
not a single hard-coded thing. You have to implement the approaches based on the scenario. So if you're going with XPath, you can go with a partial match, right? If you are going with CSS selectors, then you can also go with regular expressions, right? You can combine the combination of regular expression along with CSS selectors, right? You
Okay,
can
sir.
also use contains with that you were just mentioning it, right?
Sir.
If you're getting some stale element reference issues, you can go for JavaScript executor,
Yes.
right? So that's how you can do. And at the end, you can also see into the synchronization. Let's say what kind of weights you have implemented. Is it because of the weights it is getting failed, or maybe it is hard-coded weights that has been used by some of your team members. Those things you can take care.
Okay, sir.
Which is the version control tool that you have used?
Sir, I'm not sure about that, sir.
Version control tool, it means Git or SVN or something.
Sir, Git we are using, sir.
Git you are using. Okay. How would you manage to work in a Git when simultaneously other team members are also working with you?
Sir, first, we will check, sir, if whatever they are pushing code to the gate. So before I am pushing the code, same code, first we have to pull the code. So if you are not going to pull the code, what will happen, sir? It will get conflict error, because if same code are pushing simultaneously both testers, so it will get conflict. So before that, we have to pull the code and then we have to push the code to the git. Then it will not get a conflict error message.
Okay. This is fine. This is one of the best practice that you have to pull the code always. And whenever you are adding some code, you have to push it so that other people also get the same code and everything is in sync. But how would you manage to work in the code? How would you manage to work? Means there are other people also who are doing automation in your team. Maybe they are working on some different modules. You are working on different modules. So how would you ensure that parallel development is going on without conflicts? How would you ensure that?
Um, that I am not
Mhm.
remembering, sir, exact.
Okay, okay, no worries, no worries. Okay, describe a particularly challenging automation problem you have encountered and how did you solve it?
Uh, I faced like many challenges, like exceptions, like stale element exception, and whenever the Chrome will get update, it will show WebDriver exceptions, and to handle that pop-ups, it's showing exception alert exceptions it will get around
Hmm.
frame switching one frame to another frame. We are getting that frame exception. So these kind of first we'll analyze where we are missing and all. So uh, those exceptions we are handling by that try and catch, or like whatever code we are missed, or like while executing, we'll debug and we'll step by step we'll check it and we'll fix that issues.
Okay, so you can also give one more example. So let's say there are some flaky tests. Those are available in your regression suite, for example.
Yes.
What are flaky tests? So flaky tests are those tests which are having intermittent failures. Okay.
Yes.
So for example, today is Saturday. So Saturday they will pass. Sunday again they might fail. Monday you might not run. Monday is not in the schedule. Let's say Tuesday. Again, Wednesday you have in the schedule and then it will pass, for example. So at times it is passing, at times it is failing. So what you can do is you can identify, you can come up with the root cause analysis, the RCA of the failures. Okay. And you can fix those failures. Now, there can be several reasons behind these failures. Maybe the failure is happening because on Sunday, there is some software getting updated
Yes.
during your automation run. So you can have a word with your infra team. Okay. And you can get those things fixed. Or maybe you can do those updation after the automation suits kind of things complete. One more example can be uh, there is let's say there is a suit, right? This is a suit. In the suit you have one module which is failing a lot, right?
Yes, sir.
So in that module, let's say you have 50 tests, and what is happening is after 25th test all the tests are getting failed. Okay, now there might be an issue with respect to automation perspective, there might be an application issue also, but over here what you can do is enclose that particular 25th test in with the try catch,
Yes.
so that the exception is handled and your further suit continues to run. So these kind of points you identified, you fix them, and now that flaky issue is being resolved, flaky test issue is being resolved, right? So that's one of the example you can give. So try to give such kind of real-time examples.
Sure, sir. Sure.
right? So that's very important. Uh, okay. What is priority in TestNG?
So priority test engine, we are giving method based on that priority wise test engine will get executed. For example, there is five test cases are there, five test scripts in that. So first I want to execute third test cases in that first. So we are giving in that test annotation. So we are giving priority one. So what will happen? So third test script will get executed first, and then it will going to first test script will execute. I mean, third test case will execute first, and then first one it will execute second one.
Right, right. Okay. What if the two test cases are having the same priority? Then which test case will execute first? Let's say there is a test case of login, which is having priority equal to 2. There is a test case related to payment, which is also having priority equal to 2. Then which test case will get executed first?
So first it will get execute login page. Once after login only, then we'll going to payment method.
Okay. Why login will execute and how TestNG will determine which test case to execute first?
So, sir, we are give one is priority wise we are giving. If it is for example, login is in the first line in the sense, or I mean second line, and the if it is payment line is that method is coming under third or fourth line in the sense. So based on that SQL, it will ascending order it will execute.
So what would happen, let's say if the priority is same for both the test cases, then in that case, it will take the order of the alphabetical order.
Alphabet.
So login is LOGIN and payment is P. So which one comes first as per the alphabetical order? So login comes first.
Login it.
Then that is the reason why login will get executed first.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Now tell me, what is the use of TestNG listeners?
So TestNG listeners is used to take the screenshot whenever the test script will get failed. So we are implementing in that separate class for that listeners class is there. So that is implementation. We are implementing on that. So whatever when test script, whenever we are run the test script, so it will check either whatever we are going past the test scripts, it's not capturing those test cases. When it will going to fail, that test script it will take the screenshot and it will storing into that local folder.
Okay. Can you write a sample code, just the logic, how TestNG listeners would be implemented and what kind of code would be a part of that class?
Uh, sir, I didn't get sir. Come again, sir.
So you are using TestNG listeners, right?
Yes, sir.
And there are some classes which will implement this TestNG listeners. So what kind of code would be written in those classes? How they will be implementing this listeners?
Sir, entire script you're asking like
Not the entire script, just one of the method if you can write, just one of the class. That's it. Let's say if I want to use this test listener of the test engine, one of the class itself. So
yes.
any one method of that class, if you can write, how you will implement this listeners.
So that
Mhm.
we are running in that listener testng.xml file.
Okay.
So we are writing that listeners whatever the how to take a screenshot
Hmm.
in that below we are writing that whatever the classes should get execute. So those that listener class will start executing and it will run that script. So wherever we are getting fail, that it will take a screenshot. So
Okay.
that TestNG.xml file we are writing that listeners.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So see, let's say you have got the testng.xml file, which you are telling no that this is the code for that.
Yes, sir, XML
Right?
file.
You'll write like this. Now, whenever there is some class which will implement this listeners, so over there you will be writing the separate methods for success and failure. So basically, the listeners are used to capture the events those are failing, passing, or getting skipped. So what you will do is you'll write these methods, public void on test success, what should happen? If there is a failure, what should happen, right? So these kind of things you will write, and accordingly you will handle pass, fail things in your automation via listeners, right? See, on test failure, it will log fail test. On test success method call, it will log pass test, right? These are the two methods that we have created. Again, these are free text. This is just for your understanding, right?
Yes, sir.
So you can create these methods within the class which is implementing the items list.
Latest listeners.
Okay, so this is one thing. Okay, how will you parameterize test using testng.xml file?
So parameter we are not used. We are using just data driven. And I found
Sorry.
I mean parameter we not use it, sir.
Okay, you're not using parameter.
So
Okay, okay, fine. So let this be an open question for the people who are watching this video. How do you parameterize test in TestNG using testng.xml file? Okay, so that is the question. Fine. So now can you open flipkart.com?
yes, sir.
Yeah, I want you to find out the locator of one of the elements. So open that flipkart.com. I'll tell you
Yes, sir.
that. Can you share your screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Yeah, it's loading. Yeah, it's visible now. So, yeah, it's not yet open, right? Okay. Go to this flight booking tickets, flight bookings, right? Over there, can you see the search button?
From sir.
Yeah, the search button. Can you see the search button?
This one, sir. From
No, not from the search button
search
at the
button.
right,
Yeah,
the
yes.
blue color button.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So can you see that search button there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you have to find the locator for this search button.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's
Done?
yes, sir.
Okay. So you are getting span and equal to
I'm using
search.
text function, sir. Text
Sorry,
function. Text function I'm using, sir.
text one you are telling?
Yeah, the text function I use, sir.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yes. It's
Yeah,
highlighting.
yeah, great. And you are getting one of one.
Yes, sir. One of one, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, now go to that round trip option. So can you find the locator for that round trip?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's
Done?
yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, Madhu, I'm done with the interview. Do you have any questions for me?
1 second, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Just I want to know, sir. Like how I interviews my it's done.
Mhm.
I'm just I need feedback from your sides.
Okay.